Tomorrow morning you wake up and there is no electricity, none at all. The refrigerator isn't working, your phone is dead, and the heating has shut down. And it's not for a couple of hours, it's forever. Sounds like science fiction? Now here's the shocking truth. According to experts, the likelihood of a global blackout is increasing every year. Cyber attacks on power grids are becoming more sophisticated. Solar flares can disable transformers on continents, and man-made disasters can leave entire regions without power for months. But there is a secret that can save your life. People in the Middle Ages lived for thousands of years without a single kilowatt of electricity. They not only survived, but also prospered, built empires, created works of art, and raised families. And they knew survival tricks that we have completely forgotten in this era of technological dependence. Watch until the end. The last trick is so ingenious that it can turn an ordinary brick into a source of heat for the whole night. And in the middle of the video, I'll show you how to create tools from ordinary trash that can replace a whole set of electrical equipment. When the power goes out, the first thing that disappears is the ability to light a fire in the usual ways. The gas stove stops working without an electric ignition, and the electric stove is completely dead. The microwave, oven, electric kettle, our entire arsenal of kitchen appliances turns into useless boxes. Now imagine the reality. Matches and lighters will run out in a week or two. They will be swept off the shelves in the first days of panic. What then? How to keep warm? How to cook food? How to boil water for disinfection? Medieval people knew dozens of ways to make fire without modern tools. These methods have saved millions of lives over the millennia, and they will work for you. The first and most accessible method is fire from the sun. Take any lens, from glasses, a magnifying glass, even an old camera. If you don't have a lens, fill a transparent bag with water to make an improvised lens. Direct the focused sunbeam onto dry tinder. What can you use as tinder? Paper, dry grass, birch bark, cotton wool from an old jacket, even down from a pillow. The focused light heats up to 300 degrees and instantly ignites the material. The main thing is to create a stable focal point and not move the lens. But this method only works in sunny weather. What should you do in winter, on a cloudy day, or at night? Then you can use the ancient technique of making fire by friction, a method used by cavemen. Find 2 pieces of dry wood. Soft wood such as linden, poplar, and willow are best suited for this purpose. Cut a small groove a couple of millimeters deep in one piece. This will be the hearth. Sharpen the second piece like a pencil. This will be the drill. Place the pointed end in the groove and begin to quickly twist it between your palms, pressing down. After a few minutes of intense friction, smoke will appear. This means that the wood has begun to smolder. Add dry tinder and gently blow on it. A flame will appear. This process requires practice and patience. Your hands will hurt and you will get calluses, but it is a skill that can save your life. In the Middle Ages, children learned to make fire from the age of 7 or 8, and by the time they reached adolescence, they could light a fire in a couple of minutes. The third method is fire from a spark. If you have a piece of flint or any hard stone in a steel object, a knife, a file, even a key, you can strike sparks. Strike the stone with the steel so that the sparks fly onto the prepared tinder. You need dry material that ignites easily from the slightest spark. Which method of making fire seems most practical to you? Have you ever tried to light a fire without matches? Share your experience in the comments.
Look at that!
Imagine the horror of a modern person. The electricity is cut off, the refrigerator stops working, and all the food starts to spoil right before your eyes. Meat, dairy products, and vegetables turn into a toxic mass in 2 or 3 days. It's a shame to throw it away, but it's dangerous to eat. What to do? Medieval people never depended on artificial cold to store food. They knew the secrets of preservation that allowed them to keep food for months at room temperature. These technologies are based on simple principles, but they work flawlessly. The main secret is salt. It is a natural preservative that humanity has been using for thousands of years. Salt draws moisture out of food, creating an environment where bacteria cannot multiply. The process is called osmotic dehydration.
Carefully now, mind the brine. Move it quickly.
Take fresh meat, beef, pork, chicken. Roll it in coarse salt so that each piece is completely covered. Use rock salt without additives. Iodized salt can give an unpleasant taste. Place the meat in a wooden box or plastic container and cover it completely with salt. The salt should surround each piece on all sides. Place a weight on top. This will help the salt penetrate the meat better. After a few days, the salt will draw all the moisture out of the meat. It will become hard and dry. In this form, the meat can be stored for months at room temperature. Before eating, simply soak it in clean water for a few hours, and you will have a nutritious product. The second great secret of the Middle Ages is smoking. Smoke contains formaldehyde and other chemical compounds that are natural preservatives. They not only prevent the growth of bacteria, but also give the products a special flavor. The simplest smokehouse is a barrel or a large pot with a lid. Pour sawdust from fruit trees, apple, cherry, plum, onto the bottom. Alder or oak are also suitable. Avoid conifers and they give a bitter taste. Place a rack 20 or 30 centimeters above the sawdust. Arrange the pieces of meat or fish on it. Place the structure over a low heat. The sawdust should smolder rather than burn, producing a lot of smoke. The smoking process takes 6 to 24 hours, depending on the size of the pieces. The finished smoked meat becomes firm, turns brown, and acquires a characteristic smell. Such a product can be stored for weeks without refrigeration. Vegetables can also be preserved for a long time. The main method is pickling. This is a process of lactic acid fermentation in which beneficial bacteria produce acid that suppresses putrefactive microorganisms. A classic example is sauerkraut. Chop fresh cabbage, mix with salt, 1 tablespoon per kilogram of cabbage, and add grated carrots for flavor. Pack tightly into a jar or barrel to release the juice. Cover with a clean cloth, place a weight on top, and leave at room temperature for a week. The cabbage will ferment, become sour, and can be stored all winter. The acidic environment kills harmful bacteria, and beneficial microorganisms improve digestion. Similarly, you can ferment cucumbers, tomatoes, beets, and even apples. This knowledge has saved humanity from starvation for millennia. It will help you too when modern technology fails. Evening falls, it is dark outside, and there is no electricity. Modern man finds himself in a completely helpless state. Flashlights on phones quickly run out of power, and batteries in ordinary flashlights run out after a few hours. Pitch darkness sets in, paralyzing all activity. The first and most accessible source of light is a homemade tallow candle. To make one, you will need any animal fat, lard, butter, even fat from canned meat or the surface of soup. Melt the fat in a metal container over a fire. It is important not to overheat it. The fat should melt, but not boil. While the fat is hot, dip a cotton thread, shoelace, or strip of fabric into it. This will be the wick. Allow the fat to soak into the wick, then remove it and let it cool. Repeat the procedure several times. Each layer of fat will increase the burning time of the candle. The finished candle can be placed in a candlestick or simply secured vertically. One such candle burns for 4 to 5 hours and gives off a bright, even light. Fat consumption is minimal. You need about 100 grams of lard for an all-night candle. Fat can even be obtained from leftovers or bone broth.
Look, it's brighter.
Advantages of a homemade tallow candle. Completely natural, safe, gives a pleasant warm light without flickering. Disadvantages, specific smell, and the need to regularly trim the wick to maintain the brightness of the flame. The second method of lighting is a birch torch. This is the oldest source of light, which has been used by Slavs for thousands of years. Birch bark contains resins and oils that burn with a bright flame with virtually no soot. Take a piece of dry birch bark and split it into thin strips 1-2 centimeters wide. The strips should be thin, but not tear. Secure one end in a special holder, or simply clamp it between two stones.
I need strong ones for winter.
Light the free end of the splinter. Birch bark burns slowly and evenly, with one strip providing light for 30-40 minutes. This is enough for reading, handicrafts, or cooking. The light is bright, white, and does not strain the eyes. Kindling can be prepared in advance. Dry birch bark can be stored for years without losing its properties. One piece of bark the size of your palm is enough to provide light for a whole month. Remember about safety. Any open fire requires constant attention. Place light sources on stable, non-flammable stands. Keep water or sand handy for extinguishing, and do not leave the fire unattended. These lighting technologies have been proven over thousands of years of use. They are reliable, effective, and can provide you with a comfortable life even without electricity. A power outage means that water pumps will stop working. Taps in apartments will run dry in a few hours as soon as the storage tanks on the roofs of buildings are empty. Bottled water supplies will run out in a week, and then the real struggle for survival will begin. A person can live without food for a month, but without water for a maximum of 3 to 4 days. And it's not just any water that is needed, but clean, safe drinking water. Contaminated water can kill faster than thirst, causing dysentery, cholera, or other intestinal infections. Medieval people knew dozens of ways to obtain and purify water from any source. This knowledge was passed down as vital secrets because the survival of the entire family depended on the quality of the water. The first way to get water is to collect dew. This may seem primitive, but in one morning you can collect several liters of the purest water, even if there is no body of water nearby. Early in the morning before sunrise, spread a clean cloth on the grass, bushes, or between trees. Dew will settle on the fabric and be absorbed into the material. After an hour or two, the fabric will become wet. Squeeze it into a container. In one morning, you can collect up to a liter of water from an area of 10 square meters. If you use several pieces of cloth and change them as they get wet, the result will be even better. Dew is practically distilled water and does not require additional purification. The second method is to extract water from the ground. Even in arid places, there is often moisture underground. You just need to know where to look and how to extract it. Look for the greenest areas of vegetation. There is bound to be water underneath them. Dig a hole 1.5 meters deep in the very center of such an area. At depth, you will find moist soil and then water. Groundwater can be found at depths ranging from 0.5 meter to 3 meters, depending on the terrain. Digging is hard work, but the result is worth it. Your own source of water that will never run dry. Water from a homemade well may be cloudy and contain impurities. It must be purified before consumption. This knowledge about water can save your life in a critical situation. Practice these skills now when you have the opportunity to experiment without risk. In winter, without central heating, a modern house turns into an icebox in a matter of hours. The temperature inside quickly becomes comparable to the temperature outside, and then the real struggle for survival begins. People can freeze to death in their own apartments if they don't know the secrets of heating without electricity. Medieval people lived in stone castles and wooden houses where winter temperatures dropped well below modern standards of comfort. But they knew technologies that allowed them to create heat from nothing and keep it for hours. The first and most effective technology is thermal mass. The principle is based on the ability of certain materials to accumulate large amounts of heat and slowly release it into the surrounding space. Find a large stone weighing 15-20 kilograms. A cobblestone, brick, or even a piece of concrete will do. Place the stone in a fire or oven and heat it for 2 to 3 hours. The stone should become very hot but not red hot. Remove the hot stone with tongs or a shovel and wrap it in several layers of thick fabric or blankets. Place the wrapped stone in the center of the room or under the bed. The heated stone will give off heat for 8 to 12 hours, maintaining a comfortable temperature in a small room. It's like a personal stove that works all night without additional fuel. A 20-kilogram stone can raise the temperature in a 20 square meter room by 10-15 degrees. If you use several stones in turn, you can maintain heat around the clock. It is important to wrap the hot stone correctly. Insulation that is too thin will cause rapid heat loss, while insulation that is too thick will prevent heat from escaping. The optimal thickness of the wrapping is 3 to 5 centimeters of thick fabric. The second technology is a candle heater. This ingenious invention can raise the temperature in a room by 10-15 degrees using only ordinary candles. Take a large clay flower pot with a hole in the bottom, turn it upside down and place it on a stable stand so that there is free space under the pot. Place 4 to 6 thick candles under the upside-down pot and light them. The hot air from the candles will rise, heating the clay pot. Clay is excellent at storing and releasing heat. The heated pot will begin to radiate infrared heat, which feels like a soft, pleasant warmth. The effect is comparable to a small stove or electric heater with a power of 200-300 watts. 6 candles can burn for 6 to 8 hours, providing constant heat. Candle consumption is minimal, and the effect is impressive. The main thing is to observe fire safety and not leave the structure unattended. The third technology is clothing as a heating system. Properly selected clothing can replace heating devices and save your life in the most severe frosts. The principle of layering, several thin layers of clothing retain heat better than one thick layer. Air pockets form between the layers which act as a heat insulator. The first layer is thermal underwear, or thin woolen clothing that fits snugly to the body. This layer wicks moisture away from the skin and creates the first barrier against the cold. The second layer is a wool or fleece shirt or sweater. This layer provides the main insulation and traps warm air. The third layer is a jacket or coat that protects against wind and moisture. The outer layer should be windproof but breathable. Don't forget your head, hands, and feet. People lose up to 40% of their body heat through their head, so a hat is super important. Warm socks and gloves protect your extremities from frostbite. The fourth technique is to create a warm refuge inside the house. If it is impossible to heat the entire house, create a small warm space for survival. Choose the smallest room in the house or partition off a corner of a large room with thick curtains, blankets, or rugs. The smaller the space, the easier it is to heat and keep warm. Insulate the floor by laying down carpets, blankets, or even several layers of newspapers. Cold comes from the ground, and floor insulation is critical for comfort. Seal all gaps in windows and doors with fabric, paper, or tape. Every gap is a pathway for cold air and heat loss. Place a heat source in this small shelter. Candles, an oil lamp, hot stones. A small space will heat up quickly and retain heat for a long time. The fifth technique is to use your own body as a heat source. The human body generates about 100 watts of heat at rest and up to 400 watts when active. Physical exercise is the fastest way to warm up without external heat sources. Squats, push-ups, jumping, and running in place make your blood circulate faster and raise your body temperature. Exercise for 10-15 minutes every hour. This is enough to maintain a normal body temperature even in a cold room. Breathing exercises also help you warm up. Deep breaths and exhalations accelerate metabolism and blood circulation. The sixth technique is hot drinks as internal heating. Warm liquid inside the body quickly warms the entire body from within. Drink hot tea, coffee, broth, or even just hot water every 2-3 hours. This will not only warm you up, but also prevent dehydration, which increases the feeling of cold. Add spices to hot drinks: ginger, cinnamon, pepper, cloves. These spices stimulate blood circulation and enhance the warming effect. The 7th technique is shared warmth. 2 people under one blanket warm up twice as fast as each separately. Gather the whole family in one room and sleep together under shared blankets. The combined warmth of your bodies creates a comfortable temperature, even in a cold room. Pets can also help. A cat or dog under the blanket is an additional source of heat that works all night long. The 8th technique is heat accumulators made from readily available materials. Any objects can be used to accumulate and release heat. Heat bricks, stones, and metal objects on a fire stove. Wrap them in cloth and use them as warmers for your hands, feet, and body. Hot water bottles are classic heaters that retain heat for several hours. Plastic bottles can withstand temperatures of up to 60-70 degrees. Bags filled with heated salt, sand, or grains also work as warmers. Pour salt into a sock, heat it in a frying pan, and use it to warm yourself. The 9th technique is body insulation. Proper insulation can double the efficiency of any heat source. Wrap yourself in foil under your clothes. The foil reflects your body's infrared radiation back, acting as a mirror for heat. Use bubble wrap as insulation. Air bubbles create excellent thermal insulation. You can put the wrap under your clothes or wrap yourself in it like a blanket. Newspapers are an affordable insulation material. Several layers of newspapers under your clothes create an air gap and retain body heat. The 10th technique is psychological methods of warming up. Your state of mind affects your perception of temperature and your body's ability to generate heat. Meditation and breathing exercises can raise your body temperature by 2-3 degrees. Focus on the feeling of warmth. Imagine yourself in a warm place. Mental activity also warms you up. Read, solve problems, play games. Brain activity requires energy and increases the body's overall metabolism. A positive attitude helps you tolerate the cold. People who perceive the situation as a temporary difficulty rather than a catastrophe adapt more easily to adverse conditions. These heating techniques have been used for thousands of years and have proven their effectiveness. By combining several methods, you can create comfortable conditions, even in the most severe frost, without electricity. When all the supplies in the refrigerator and pantry are gone, when the store shelves are empty and food deliveries stop, knowledge of wild plants will become a matter of life and death. Modern people are surrounded by edible plants, but they do not know how to recognize and use them. Medieval peasants knew hundreds of species of wild plants that could be eaten. This knowledge was passed down from generation to generation as family secrets of survival. In times of crop failure or war, wild plants saved entire villages from starvation. The first and most accessible plant is dioecious nettle. It grows everywhere, along fences, in vacant lots, in forests, even in cities. Nettles are a real vitamin bomb, surpassing many cultivated plants in nutritional value. Young nettle leaves contain more vitamin C than lemons, more carotene than carrots, and lots of protein, iron, and calcium. Nettles can be used to make soups, salads, and even flour for baking. How to safely harvest nettles. Use gloves or simply scald the plant with boiling water. The sting will disappear instantly. Harvest only the young tops, 15-20 centimeters high, as they are the most tender and nutritious. Nettles can be eaten raw, after scalding, cooked like spinach, dried and ground into powder to add to any dish. One plant can provide the daily vitamin requirement for an adult. The second ubiquitous plant is the common dandelion. This plant is completely edible. Leaves, flowers, roots. Dandelions can be found from early spring to late autumn in any area. Young dandelion leaves are great for salads. They have a slightly bitter taste, which can be softened by soaking the leaves in salt water for half an hour. The leaves are rich in vitamins A, C, iron, and calcium. Dandelion flowers can be fried in batter like pancakes, added to salads for beauty, or used to make honey, boiled with sugar. The flowers have a sweet taste and a pleasant aroma. Dandelion roots are a particularly valuable food. They are dug up in the fall when they accumulate the maximum amount of nutrients. The roots can be eaten raw, boiled like potatoes, dried, and ground into flour. Dandelion root flour contains inulin, a natural sugar that is easily absorbed by the body. This flour can be used to bake flatbread or added to soups for thickness. The third valuable plant is plantain. It is easily recognizable by its characteristic leaves with longitudinal veins and spike-shaped inflorescences. Plantain grows along roads, in meadows, and in gardens. Plantain leaves are rich in vitamins and have anti-inflammatory and wound-healing properties. They can be added to salads and soups or used as a natural plaster for wounds and cuts. Plantain seeds are an excellent source of fiber and vegetable protein. They are harvested at the end of summer, dried, and used as a grain for porridge or added to baked goods. The fourth plant is quinoa. It is a weed that many gardeners mercilessly weed out. But in times of famine, quinoa saved thousands of lives. It grows on any soil, is unpretentious, and very nutritious. Young leaves and shoots of quinoa can be eaten raw or cooked like spinach. The plant contains a lot of protein, vitamins, and minerals. The taste is neutral, slightly salty. Quinoa seeds ripen in late summer. They can be harvested, dried, and used as a grain. The seeds are rich in protein and comparable in nutritional value to buckwheat or oats. Quinoa seeds can be ground into flour and used to bake bread. In some countries, quinoa is considered a superfood and is specially cultivated as a crop. The fifth plant is sorrel. The sour leaves of sorrel are rich in vitamin C and organic acids. Sorrel is easily recognizable by its characteristic sour taste and arrow-shaped leaves. Sorrel is great for soups and salads and can be eaten on its own to quench your thirst and get vitamins. It is especially valuable in the spring when other green plants are still scarce. But be careful. Sorrel contains oxalic acid, which can be harmful in large quantities. Do not eat sorrel by the kilogram. Use it as an addition to other foods. The sixth plant is coltsfoot. It is one of the first spring plants to appear even before the snow melts. The flowers are yellow, similar to dandelions, but appear before the leaves. Coltsfoot leaves can be added to salads or used to brew medicinal tea. The plant has anti-inflammatory properties and helps with colds. The seventh plant is ground elder. This pesky weed, which invades gardens and vegetable patches, is actually excellent food. Ground elder is rich in vitamin C, protein, and trace elements. Young ragwort leaves can be eaten raw in salads, cooked like spinach, or added to soups. The plant has a pleasant taste, reminiscent of carrot tops. Ragwort can be harvested for the winter, dried, salted, or fermented. Salted ragwort retains its vitamins and can be used throughout the winter as a source of greens. The eighth plant is shepherd's purse. It is a small plant with characteristic triangular pods that resemble a shepherd's purse. It grows everywhere in fields, gardens, and along roads. The young leaves of shepherd's purse are edible raw and cooked. The plant is rich in vitamins and has hemostatic properties. The ninth plant is wild garlic, ramson. It grows in forests and has a characteristic garlic smell. Ramson appears in early spring when there are still few other edible plants. Wild garlic leaves are rich in vitamin C and essential oils and have antibacterial properties. They can be eaten raw, added to salads, pickled, or used as a seasoning. The 10th plant is fireweed. It is a tall plant with pink flowers that grows in meadows, clearings, and along roads. Fireweed is a source of vitamins and an excellent substitute for regular tea. Young fireweed leaves can be eaten raw or added to salads. Dried and fermented leaves make a fragrant tea that tastes just as good as real tea. How to make willow herb tea. Collect young leaves, dry them in the sun for 12 hours, roll them into tubes until juice is released, place them in a jar for a day to ferment, then dry them. The result is an excellent tea. Important rules for collecting wild plants. Only collect plants that you are 100% sure of. A mistake can cost you your life. Do not collect plants near roads, in industrial areas, or near landfills. They may be contaminated with toxic substances. Collect plants in ecologically clean places, in forests, meadows, far from civilization. Do not collect all the plants in one place. Leave some for reproduction. Collect plants in dry weather, in the morning after the dew has dried. Wash the collected plants thoroughly before consumption. Start with small portions to check your body's reaction. This knowledge about wild plants can save your life in a critical situation. But it is better to study them in advance when you have the opportunity to experiment safely and learn from your mistakes. The modern world relies on the instantaneous exchange of information. Cell phones, the internet, and social networks connect people around the world in seconds. But what happens when this entire system collapses along with the electricity? People will find themselves completely isolated, unaware of what is happening, even in the neighboring house. Medieval people never knew instant communication, but they had well-developed systems for transmitting information over long distances. These methods are based on simple physical principles and can work without any electricity. The first and most effective method is smoke signals. This is one of the oldest communication systems used on all continents. Smoke can be seen at a distance of up to 20-30 kilometers in clear weather. Smoke signals are based on the controlled creation of smoke and its modulation to convey information. Build a fire in an elevated place, a roof, a hill, or a tall tree. To create thick smoke, add wet grass, green branches, and damp leaves to the fire. The smoke should be white or gray. Black smoke is difficult to see from a distance. The simplest system is 1 column of smoke means everything is fine, 2 means help is needed, and 3 means danger. Create intermittent smoke by covering the fire with a blanket and periodically removing it. A more complex system is Morse code. Short puffs of smoke are dots, long puffs are dashes. This method can be used to convey any information, but you need to know Morse code. The second method is sound signals. Sound travels much further than the human voice if you use the right tools. The simplest sound signal is striking a metal object, a hammer on a rail, a stone on a pipe, a stick on a pot. Such sounds can be heard at a distance of up to 5 to 10 kilometers in calm weather. The third method is light signals. In sunny weather, reflective surfaces can transmit signals for tens of kilometers. A mirror is the ideal tool for light signals. Direct the reflected sunbeam to the desired point and modulate it by moving the mirror. If you don't have a mirror, use any shiny surface. A pot lid, foil, even water in a basin. The main thing is that the surface is smooth and reflects light well. The signaling system is the same. Short flashes are dots, long flashes are dashes. You can transmit in Morse code or agree on simple signals. At night, use lanterns, torches, or candles. Cover and uncover the light source with cloth or cardboard to create light pulses. Bonfires on high ground are visible at very long distances at night. A network of signal fires can transmit information across the entire country in a single night. The fourth method is flag signaling. This is a visual system that works at a distance of up to 10-15 kilometers. Use bright fabrics in contrasting colors, red, yellow, white. The flag should be at least 1 meter by 1 meter so that it can be seen from a distance. The simplest system, a raised flag means attention, a lowered flag means end of transmission, waving from left to right means yes, and from right to left means no. The semaphore alphabet is a professional flag signaling system. 2 flags in different positions represent different letters. The system is complex, but it allows any text to be transmitted. The fifth method is messengers. The most reliable but slowest way to transmit information is to send a person with a message. On foot, a person can travel 30-50 kilometers a day on a good road. On skis in winter, up to 100 kilometers. On horseback, up to 200 kilometers a day. It is important to prepare the messenger properly. Give clear instructions, supplies of food and water, protective equipment, and alternative routes in case of danger. It is best to write the message down on paper and give several copies. If the messenger is illiterate, the message should be simple and easy to remember. Organize a chain of messengers every 20-30 kilometers. This will speed up delivery and increase the reliability of information transfer. And now for the most sensational secret that can save your life on the coldest night without electricity. This is an ancient technology that our ancestors have used for millennia, but modern people have forgotten about it. Get ready. What you are about to learn may seem incredible. Take the most ordinary building brick. Yes, the very same red brick that lies on any construction site or in a shed. This simple object can become a powerful source of heat that will keep you warm all night long. The secret lies in the unique properties of fired clay. Bricks have enormous thermal mass. They can absorb and store a tremendous amount of heat energy. At the same time, they release heat slowly and evenly, like an ideal heat accumulator. The process of turning an ordinary brick into a heater is simple, but requires adherence to the technology. Wrap the brick in several layers of aluminum foil. This will speed up heating and prevent cracking from sudden temperature changes. Place the wrapped brick directly in a fire or oven for 2-3 hours. The brick should heat up to its very center. The longer it is heated, the more heat will accumulate in the brick. Important: do not place the brick in an open flame. It may crack. Place it in the coals or near a heat source for even heating. This ancient secret may be your salvation tomorrow when modern technology fails. The heating brick is a technology that will never become obsolete and will always work. Which of these medieval secrets did you find most useful? Which skills would you like to learn first? Will you practice this knowledge in advance to be prepared for any situation? Share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us about your experience of surviving without electricity. Together, we can preserve this invaluable knowledge and pass it on to future generations. And remember, knowledge is the only wealth that no one can take away from you. Invest in survival skills and they will pay off handsomely in a critical moment.